Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode number 11 of the Outsports Topics podcast. I am Michael Rachel, joined by PJ Ellis and Matt Costa, as always. I don't know what PJ is laughing about there. What a clown. So we have a pretty cool guest this week. It's a good buddy of PJ's, actually works with him at the St. Louis Blues. PJ, give an intro of who our guest is.
Hey guys, we're to say we work together is a little bit of a stretch. I was an intern for the Alumni Association, and he's an alumni of the St. Louis Blues. Former Blue, St. Louisan Cam Janssen joined us on the podcast today. Drafted by the New Jersey Devils, was traded to the St. Louis Blues. Played most of his career here before heading back to New Jersey for a couple of years before he retired. Now has his own podcast called the Cam and Strick Podcast. Does a little radio work throughout St. Louis and works heavily with the St. Louis Blues Alumni Association, giving back to the city of St. Louis that has been so good to him throughout his career. So yeah, we had Cam on. He was a great interview, great guy, and we're excited to have you guys listen to it.
Yeah, he brought a lot of energy, which was awesome. Very energetic guy, super passionate about his answers and super open about everything. Matt, what was one thing from the interview that you really enjoyed?
So first, Cam Janssen, as you can see, he was my favorite player growing up. I remember begging my parents to get me this Cam Janssen jersey for Christmas back when I was a kid. So it was an honor to be able to talk to Cam a little bit today. But my favorite thing he brought up, he was really open about mental health and about some of the struggles he faced in the league and just growing up as a young kid, getting paid a lot and dealing with sort of the challenges of that. I really enjoyed listening to his stories, and I think it's a little bit inspiring what he's been through because it's stuff that normal people face too. It's nice to know that even though he's a pro athlete, he was making a ton of money. There's stuff that he went through that everybody can relate to, really.
Make sure to go follow us on Facebook and Twitter at Odd Sports Topics and visit us at oddsportstopics.com. PJ, you've got a little disclaimer to throw to everybody before we get to the interview.
I do. Before that, I just wanted to add on to that too. Social media guys, we're running a promotion right now on our Twitter. We are giving away a signed Yadier Molina pennant. So for all of our St. Louis baseball fans out there, or just baseball fans in general, it's a good giveaway. All you gotta do is go to our page at oddsportstopics.com or oddsportstopics on Twitter. Like, retweet, tag underneath. For every person you tag is an additional entry. And we're holding that until Thanksgiving Day. So it'll be open for a while. Go in there and do it. You can submit as many entries as you'd like. It's just as many people you just want to tag or retweet or whatever. So make sure to do that. It's a cool contest, and we'll pick a winner on Thanksgiving Day.
Must be following as well. Must be following on Twitter.
So shoot us a follow. Yes. That being said, we do have a little bit of disclaimer for this interview. Cam, like Michael said, brings the energy. He's a great guy. When you have a guest like that with that much charisma and that much energy, you don't want to filter somebody like that. So we kind of let Cam be Cam. So there might be a little bit of language in here that might not be suitable for all ages. So if you don't want to hear any cussing or anything like that, maybe just skip this one. But it's a really good interview. Cam brings the energy, like Michael said, and he gives a great interview. So
it's not offensive either. It's just like it's not going to offend anybody, but just a warning.
Yeah, nothing crazy. It's just Cam being Cam. So with that being said, we're not going to make you guys wait any longer. Here's our interview with former St. Louis Blue Cam Janssen.
We now welcome on to the Odd Sports Topics podcast, a former NHL player for the St. Louis Blues and New Jersey Devils, and co-host of the Cam and Strick podcast, Cam Janssen. Cam, thank you so much for being here today.
What up, dudes? What's going on?
Doing well, man. Thank you for being here. So I want to take you back to your early days real quick. When did you know that professional hockey was in your future? Because, there's a lot of doubts from kids. When did you know that, hey, this is what I want to do in the future?
Well, I mean, you got to think no one's really made it in where we kind of grew up and like made it through the youth hockey program of St. Louis. No one's played in the NHL. So I never understood hockey until my dad took me to Blues games, and I started watching Chaser and Hully and Twister and them doing all their things. And I was like, oh my God, they're so awesome. Like, I want to do this sport. And so I just played roller hockey in my basement, learned how to skate, stick handle a little bit. And all we did was rollerblade around, and we became obsessed with hockey, not because hockey's in our face all the time, but we just love the Blues. And I played every sport, man, soccer, baseball, wrestling, track, football, I mean, everything. But I loved hockey, and I just got obsessed with it. I absolutely was obsessed with it.
growing up as kids, I'm sure PJ and Matt have had this as well. You know, your third grade teacher asks you, what do you want to be when you grow up? And a lot of people say, oh, professional athlete. And then the teacher will say, that's not realistic. Tell me something realistic that you want to be. Did you ever have that growing up where parents, friends were like, hey, dude, you got to start thinking about like, you know, a real job? And you're like, no, this is going to be this is going to be it. And how'd you deal with that?
Dude, I used to brag I was so cocky. I bragged to they all talk about it, all my old Eureka teachers and stuff like that when I was young. Like, I'm going to play, like, it was so, I look back on it, I was like, don't be like that, Cam. Like, you're too cocky, you're too confident, but I was doing pretty good. And no one even knew what that meant. Like, you're going to be a pro hockey. It's like, I'm going to be an astronaut and go to Mars or something. And so people just, they didn't understand it, but I was so confident. I was so unbelievably confident. And that's probably because my mom and dad my dad especially was really good at balancing my emotions. Like, he would pump me up so much, but then if I didn't play well, like, he knew how to bring me back down and be normal again. You're just, you know, like, how you got to work on things. So it was just such a good balance where I peacocked around, man, and it worked. But yeah, I certainly told my teachers, like, no, it's so horrible when they tell me this. When I see him in like my town, they're like, Cam, I remember you, and you said, I'm like, oh God, like, but it worked. But a lot of guys have done that and it didn't work.
So Cam, we interviewed Reed Lowe a couple months ago, so we're interested to hear your answer to this. Who would win in a fight, you or Reed?
I'll bag his ass up right now. I'll bag his ass. Who you kid? Don't laugh at that. I'll bag him up. No, he's really tough. Yeah, he's really right now. I'll kick his ass. Back in the day, both in our primes, he's tough. He's kind of underrated tough too. Like, he's underrated. Like, I think he was a lot tougher than people talk about, because he could throw lefts on you, and he's really big and he's strong. But I'll bag his ass up right now. I'll tell you that. You've seen it before at those skates, though. I try to challenge him all the time. You see it? Who are you kidding? But he was so tough, man. He probably would have beat me. But it would have been a great fight in our prime.
So, what about you or Tony Twist, though?
Oh, he'll fuck me up right now, dude. Are you crazy? Hell no. I wouldn't even. You're crazy, dude. Not even. No. Not even when he got after his motorcycle accident. No. Give a shit. No way. He's the baddest boy on the block. And even Losey will tell you he's not going to go him.
Cam, we're going to take you back here a couple months. St. Louis had the privilege of hosting the NHL All-Star game this weekend, and the Alumni Association, which you're a part of, they hosted an alumni game that Thursday. Take us through what that meant to you, seeing the All-Star game in your hometown. Take us through what it was like to play on that alumni game, and take us through that fight with Spittin' Chicken's Paul Bezanetti that you guys had on center.
Wasn't that funny? That was such a cool time, man. Like, we have such a beautiful rink out there, 4-sheet rink. It's so nice, one of the best probably in North America. And we're able to take advantage of people coming in and entertaining them. With a casino right there, we have a beautiful locker room. So to be able to put on a show like that in front of like 5,000 people, and you know, make it competitive with all these veterans and ex-NHL players all competing with each other, and then getting mad at each other and putting on a show, so cool. My family was there. We're good at doing that, eh? Like, the Blues are really good at doing that. We know how to put a show on when you come down to St. Louis, as far as like the alumni are concerned. You come down here, we're going to entertain you. And we certainly did. And we have a lot more when things get normal again. We're going to be doing that left and right, because we have like the setup. We have a nice setup, and we deserve it because we've been around for so long. We've done so much for this community, the Blues and the organization. So it's just such a fun thing. And God, we chirp each other so bad. It's crazy. Oh God. You cannot be thin-skinned going in that locker room. Oh, my goodness. They'll get you.
Cam, what was it like for you watching the Blues finally win the Stanley Cup? I know you were there in Boston. You never made it down to the ice, but you were in the arena. How exciting was that for you as a Blues alum in St. Louisan?
Well, it was crazy. That was a weird day for me as a whole. Like, on a personal note, that was a long, weird day. I traveled with my wife. We stayed in this beautiful hotel looking over Boston. I had to get my suit on early. I didn't know what was going to happen. I lost my credentials, although I didn't lose it. Somebody took it from me, and I know who did it. But I got in easy. It was just really weird because I was going to sneak my wife in. because we're going through the back, but I didn't want to put anybody on the spot and be that asshole who tries to steal, But if I went back, I would have snuck Kate in so goddamn fast. No one even knew what happened. I walked in myself because I didn't have a fucking pass because somebody took it. So I was stressed out all day. Then I'm doing TV stuff, blah, blah, blah. Then I get caught up late at night watching everybody down celebrating. And it was just such a long day that I didn't really get the full effect of the euphoric high until the next day when I got home and we started all hanging out. And I just wanted to get home at that point because I felt like I was stuck in Boston and everybody's partying at O.B. Clark's. I'm like, damn, I want to get there. And I was stuck in the airport all day. So I was kind of miserable for like 48 hours, to be honest with you.
The parade itself, how much of that do you remember? Were you just zapped out of your mind?
God.
Were you zapped out of your mind?
Oh, Kate got so mad at me because I didn't eat anything because I thought there was going to be food. I'm going to blame Beth on this one, by the way, BJ, but I didn't eat anything in the morning, which is so dumb. And then we're just on the parade and you're just slugging champagne like, ugh. I'm like, ugh. And by the end of it, everybody's going on stage and Kate looks at me. She's like, we got to get a golf cart. We're getting escorted out of here. And we got someone to drive us both home. And they did. But it was so fun. It was just a big party. The guys are just so cool with the fans, so intimate with the fans. Unlike baseball players where they're like, ooh, hello, ooh, ooh. The basketball players, ooh, hey, hey. The guys are jumping on motorcycles and like making out with people and the pre-COVID and doing everything. And it's just like, God, it was so puking on people, falling off shit. It doesn't matter. Awesome. And that celebration was better than anything else St. Louis has ever seen or probably ever will see, in my opinion.
Cam, speak to that energy that St. Louis brought to that parade. Obviously, like you said, the hockey players and the Blues players were really, really big part of, interacting with the fans. But I think a part of that too is just the energy that the St. Louis crowd created kind of drove that out of them. So kind of speak to that energy that St. Louis brought to that day.
It's like being a rock star, man. I didn't even win the damn cup. And I'm like, ah! And everybody's like, God, and you're throwing stuff at each other. It's like you're a rock star. And you go to the crowd like you own the crowd, like, what? And everybody just does the same thing as you because they're just so excited. Man, to see happiness in people's faces. I grew up here. I grew up with psycho crazy, and I mean that in loose terms. Like, yeah, like I know psycho crazy Blues fans that just love their whole family with the Blues games and all their pictures in their when you walk in their house, it's like their family at the Blues game, their family at the Blues thing. It's like that's how you bond with your family and your memories. And for them to finally win a cup, and you see like just the emotion on their face, like, God, it's just so, I don't know, it's beautiful. Sorry to be such a poet, but whatever.
So obviously you said when you were growing up, becoming a hockey player wasn't like as normal, but today in St. Louis, the youth is pretty strong. And what do you think has led to such strong talent coming out of St. Louis recently?
I mean, just like there was a lot of talent before the big boys came up. It's just you got to make it first, man. Like you got to get recognized and kind of get put on the map. And then all these retired players played here and they coach AAA hockey, and you just learn from Al and Brownie and Walt and Chaser and God, just a ton of guys. And I know I'm missing guys, but they figured it out. And now, like when I played against these big teams, when I played in Michigan National Hockey League, AAA hockey in St. Louis, we'd lose, 6-2, and we'd lose 8-2 sometimes. And now these kids go up there, and everybody's scared of them. Like they're like, oh, the Blues are here. Like, oh shit, they got 5 fucking kids on that team. They're gonna play in the NHL. Like that's awesome. It's just a cool trend that's going, and now we got the facilities because of that stuff, man.
Cam, speaking of going back to St. Louis and speaking on that, obviously there's probably a lot of pressure playing for your hometown team. You have your family and friends there; they can be there almost every night. Can you kind of speak to that? I know David Freese kind of felt that when he played here a little bit too. Just speak to that pressure, that added pressure of playing in the NHL when you're playing for your hometown team.
Yeah, dude, I lived 2 different lives, man. I had my friends and family, not hockey people. I had all my high school buddies and stuff like that. Then you have the team. and your hockey buddies. And so like balancing that was tough. But when you're 23 years old, playing in your hometown, making some money, popular, and you're somewhat of a showman, which I can't help it, but that's how I am. Like you're doing things, man, and you're in the scene, and it wears on you. And if you do something bad, everybody knows about it. If you do something good, people know about it. But the bad kind of, not that I did anything bad, but it's just like the pressure sometimes when you're not playing and you're fighting these guys all the time. Oh my God. And my mom would be worried about me. It's just, it was emotional. It really was. But I now, after playing for the Blues, it kind of set me up for after hockey, guys. Like, got my own radio show now, podcast. Like, thank God I got traded to the Blues. It was tough. It was emotionally fun. It was emotionally tough sometimes, but it all works out for a reason. And I have friends and I know everybody in this town, and I work my ass off for charities and stuff. God, anything the Blues want me to do, I'm like, fuck, here you go. What do you want me to do? So and I didn't know that it was going to help me throughout my career doing that stuff, but I just did it because I thought it was the right thing to do.
Cam, real quick, I want to follow up with that. Obviously, being part of the Alumni Association, like you said, that's a lot of the basis there is the charity work they do in the city. Speak to that life after hockey. I know it's a tough transition going from playing to, something you've done the last however many years of your life. You're all about hockey to having to walk away from that. Talk about that transition, how the Alumni Association has kind of helped that transition be easier.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'd do anything for them. Beth, Beth, she's the best of the best, and anything the alumni want me to do, 100% I'll do it. And giving speeches and stuff like that, excuse me, building your confidence. Yeah, the alumni did help me out, and they always do, and I'll do anything for them. And Beth works her butt off as well, and both of you guys do. You're great, by the way, and everybody loves you. And I tell you what, though, but just getting into radio was difficult. Like, I'd never worked with, let's say, a female before, right? Like, think about that. Hockey guys, you just like walking around naked with each other, like, ugh. Now you're with like people that didn't play and a female and this and that. And then you're talking about politics and things like that. You just have to know, you have to be self-aware of what's going on, and not just your bubble, but everybody else's. So maybe they think differently than you. And you're like, whoa, this is what I went through, but this is what I went through. And this is why I think of something. So just to be able to kind of balance that was so healthy for me and my personality, man. Like, it really is. Doing radio every day with people that I never, not hockey people, but people that are completely different than me. And I got to adjust to them and not, it's just healthy, dude. And now I get to do all this different stuff for different organizations. And I just kind of know how to balance my personality, being hardcore, being a tough guy, being a party guy, with being maybe, sweet. I don't know. It's man. It's a game, dude. And you just have to be, again, self-aware of everybody else besides yourself.
So I'm curious to know, you took on 6'9" John Scott. Is that the craziest person you ever fought? How did that develop? And what kind of possessed you to take on a guy so much bigger than you?
He didn't scare me, man. Other guys scared me. Derek Bugard, Colton Orr, Simon. But John Scott, I'm like, I'll go you. I didn't even care. Like that, I knew he was gonna hit me a couple times, but he didn't throw like hardcore, like Twister or any guys like that. So I'm like, I'll go you. But it makes you look good when you're 5'11", you fight a guy that's big, that's your teammates get pumped up for that kind of stuff. So I like that stuff, man. I like fighting guys bigger than me. You're supposed to lose. So like, let's go. I know how tough I am. Like, I'll get you with one. Like, I'm going to get you. I'll make a show out of this. So I always like fighting guys bigger, but I like John Scott. He had an awesome career. I've had him on the podcast. I've been on his podcast, but he didn't scare me.
Switching gears a little bit here, Cam. Obviously, we want to talk to you kind of about a little bit the current state of the St. Louis Blues organization. Speak on Petra leaving. How do you think that's going to impact the team going into next year? And then I guess the follow-up question that would be in bringing in Torrey Krug and how that'll change, and what's the differences and the pros and cons to both those situations.
Well, I think that's going to balance it out pretty well. Kruger's a lefty, Petro's a righty. Petro's 6'3", Krug's like 5'10". So like Petro on 2-on-1s could like stop, fall down, break the play up, do things like that, where Krug could probably go get the puck quicker and maybe spin off you better, although Petro's good at that as well. Krug's really good as a lefty, walking the line on a power play, getting shots through. If you're a forward in front of that and you're like, I'm taking a beating, and the D doesn't get a shot through, you want to kill him. So Krug's really good at that in special teams and in 5-on-5 play. Krug's probably really good at keeping the puck alive in the zone. Petro's big, and he can seal you off quicker, and he's got a longer reach. So I don't know. It's the Blues are gonna be really good, man. Vladdy might be out for a while. They'll find something. They don't have much money to work with because there's a pandemic, and they're up to the cap. So everybody's like, "Well, Vladdy's money's off the books." Well, no, it's not. This is a salary cap. Tom Stone's supposed to pay that money out, and they're going to add on to that. So it's like the Blues in a cap position are fine, but a Blues in like a position where they're just showing money out when you might not have people come in and make money because there's no one coming to the rink. They're in a tough spot when it comes to that. But as far as their lineup's concerned, they're going to be unbelievable, dude. They're going to be awesome and fun to watch.
Do you think that Petro leaving will allow Falk and Parayko to kind of step up into a bigger role, or do you think that Krug will kind of fill in nicely there? How do you think that'll play out there?
Dude, Parayko's going to be the man. Parayko's going to wear an A, I think. And he's going to take over Petro's role. He's going to want – they're both going to be competing for power play time, and that's fine. But I want Parayko to wear that A and be like, I'm the man. I'm going to be a little more physical. I'm going to touch my offensive game up a little bit. I'm going to talk in the locker room a little more. The cameras come to me after the game. I'll be allowed in practice. I'll maybe set things up as far as parties and things like that are concerned. I don't know. Like, Parayko, I'm excited to see where he takes his game. He's an awesome player and a great guy.
Last question about that situation. Obviously, it's been joked about with Robert Thomas and Krug. They had that big hit in the Stanley Cup Finals in 2019. How does that get mended easily? Did you ever have a situation like that where you had a fight with somebody and then ended up playing on the same team with them? How does that affect the locker room?
Dude, nothing. It's hilarious. They don't care. That's funny. They'll like talk about, dude, anytime I fought a guy or rocked a guy, unless it was really bad. And even then, the guy's like, oh my God, Janet, you got me on that one. I'm like, dude, sorry about that. Like, dude, they don't give a fuck unless you two-hand him over the face. Like, but no one does that anymore anyway. So it's like, no, that has nothing to do with it. It's actually funny.
So Cam, obviously most people don't have the privilege of playing in professional sports in their life. So as fans, we always see the good things, oh my God, that'd be so cool if I could, get people to cheer for me whenever I wanted, stuff like that, the good stuff, but we don't really get to see the bad stuff necessarily. What is one thing that was tough for you in your career that the outsider would never know?
Painkiller abuse. That was tough. I don't even need to get too far into it, but that got me bad, man. I mean, it really did. And many others too. And I talk about it loosely, freely on my show and stuff like that. That got me bad. Set me back years and whatnot. Although the media is tough. Your buddies dealing with you at playing in your hometown, like your tickets, and it all adds up. You're single and you're popular, dealing with girls, and that's on you, just like everything else is. But that's tough. There's some weird time, like learning how to deal with your popularity at 17 years old in Windsor, when you're a bag of testosterone and fucking piss and vinegar, and you're like, what do I do? You're like, how do I balance this? And then all of a sudden you get $200,000 and you're like, oh, how do I balance this? Like, fuck, spending on shit. You take people out, you do this, like money, painkiller abuse, girls, popularity, social media, being freelance on the radio. Maybe you fucking put your foot in your mouth. Oh, I've done that. That sucked. Like, there's a million things, man.
Cam, obviously NHL, they push a lot of mental health the last couple of years, I feel like, with the Bell Let's Talk and that kind of stuff. Is it tough? Did you find it was tough, and a lot of your teammates, stuff like that? Obviously, you grew up, and hockey is a really tough sport, and the locker rooms, like you said, are tough environments. Is mental health something that you'd like to see more supported for NHL players moving forward?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, man. Look, when people complain about boredom when they retire, when they got a lot of money, things like that, I'm like, I don't feel sorry for you. When people complain about, oh, I got traded, I don't feel sorry for you. When people are like, oh, I can't believe my team didn't pay me this amount of money, I don't feel sorry for you. But if you're retired and you're like, dude, I am depressed. I have 60 million bucks in the bank, but I can't figure out my own happiness, and I have a problem. My wife is there, my kids are there, everybody's healthy. I have a lot of money. I don't have to work a day in my life, but I can't get normal. That's when I'm like, damn, dude, we got to talk. That's when you know you're messed up. And I feel for those guys, and it happens all the time. And I think the NHL is starting to figure that out a little more. I think individual ex-players are helping out with that a lot, bringing awareness to it. I'm luckily happy guy, but I go through weird times too, man. Don't get me wrong. A lot of it's self-induced with me, but that's still a problem too. So yeah, dude, big time. I think about it all the time, man. And my wife thinks about it with me as well. You know, I took a lot of hits, dude. I did.
How did you, I'm just curious as to like how you did find what you wanted to do afterwards. Cause if, you know, you're saying you have all that money, you don't have to work another day in your life. Where's that motivation coming?
No. Time out.
Or-
Whoa, wait. No. I spent my money, homie. I have to start from scratch. I didn't make that much money. I didn't make 60 million bucks. Hell no. No. I had to refine myself 4 years ago, and I had to start doing radio, and I grinded it, and I figured it out, and I built this podcast up with Andy Strickland, and I started to monetize everything. And now I'm back to a situation where I'm like, oh, but for 4 years there, I got addicted to a lot of things, cost me a lot of money. I made maybe a couple bad investments, but I also made a couple good investments, and they helped me out. But I had to completely regroup, restructure my life after I retired. And it was the most difficult thing ever. And dude. No. Oh, I had to completely start from scratch, dude.
Gotcha.
Yeah. 60 fucking, you think I made that much money? Hell no. I was making dude, I was spending 30 grand a month, making like $500,000 only with 13 bait. And you're probably like, but I was spending so much money, and it's all on me, all my fault. No blame. Anything that's ever bad happened to me was my fault. Always. And I hope everybody fucking writes that down. Because if you really think about it, sit back and like, man, what happened there? Well, you're late. Oh, what happened there? Well, you weren't good enough. Everything. If you really sit back and identify it, you're like, yeah, I could have been better there. So when I say that, it's healthy, man. Like, I really had to figure out the second half of my career with not being educated, not having the Blues hire me, not having anything like that. I had to figure it out on my own. And where I'm at right now, it puts a smile on my face, man, because I did it from scratch again.
Ken, we want to talk about how obviously your podcast is doing so well. This is something that's kind of been brand new to us. This is our 11th episode, right, Michael? 11th or 12th?
Yep, 11th.
What advice do you have to us moving forward? Obviously, you've kind of built this successful podcast. You kind of know what it takes. What advice could you give somebody like us who we have a very small following, obviously, right now that we're looking to grow? And
well, what do you want to be then? So, okay. Andy and I have when you think of Andy and I, like, we're hardcore. Andy brings a different element to me. He brings, like, he gets all the guys. He gets this. He's an insider. He knows more about my career than I do. I bring the heat. I'll bring entertainment. I'll bring, like, philosophies. I'll have stuff with my sponsors about anti-bullying. Then I'll talk about that. Then, like, you just have to find your identity, just like a team. Like, you're a team. What's your identity? You're talking hockey? Well, why is somebody going to listen to you instead of listening to the other hockey? So what are you doing differently? So if you want to do it for fun, then do it. If you want to monetize it, you got to keep bringing different element. And it's not just like, I got to get the best guest. You three have to figure out how you could be different to get, not being crazy, like fuck everybody, like being so controversial that you're forced. No. You got to be creative, just like a band, just like a team. How are you going to come together and have people want to listen to you instead of listening to other podcasts that are just like yours?
It's a great point.
You write that down? Did you write that down?
Yeah, that's going to be clipped and everything. So
yeah, that's good.
It's actually a great segue because, you know, our little different thing, we have our website, obviously, oddsportstopics.com, and we talk to people about odd things they've encountered in their career, you know, that's a little abnormal. What's one thing in your career that was just super odd?
Jesus. I mean, everything. Making money at a young age, not a ton of money, but you gotta reference when I talk about making money. I'm not Vinny LeCavier. I'm just bringing names up, but in my own little realm of my own little bubble, I was making good money compared to everybody else. That was odd. At 18, to have that where everybody's living their mommy and daddy and they're broke as shit, and all of a sudden I get like 200 grand, and you're like, okay, I've always wanted to be something, and now I got money, and the reason why I have it is because I am something. Now, again, in my own little bubble, I am. And then how do you deal with that? And it's like, holy shit, the things that you learn, the people that like not rip you off, but just like take advantage of you. You got to deal with that. You deal with how to like talk to girls when you finally have money. Like sometimes you're just a dick and you're like, why was I a dick? Just be normal to them. Oh my, I mean, just everything, man. You learn so much when you get kind of thrown in the mix like that, coming from kind of nothing. And all of a sudden you're like, boom. And you just balancing that whole process and playing and fighting guys and dealing with media and all that combined. That's the odd thing that people are like, that's awesome. You did it. Yeah, but it's hard to deal with.
We wrote an article on our, so part of this is a podcast, part of this is a blog, and on our blog we wrote an article about why hockey uses periods. It used to be 2 halves back in the day. They changed to periods since then. And the main reason behind that is because they needed to get the ice smoother. So at the end of the periods and then the halves, the ice would get so rough, they needed to bring the Zamboni out there more frequently. Is that something you noticed, that towards the end of periods, the ice affected the way you played and how the game was played when the ice got rougher and a little bit more tore up?
If you're in Florida, it might. Sometimes the ice is bad because it's like in the playoff time, you're in Tampa Bay and it's like, or in a bubble, and or in Vegas and it's like 130 degrees. But the guys bitch about that. It's bad on both sides. That's not a big issue. It's not a big issue. Not at all.
Fun fact about this man Cam here. We had it was a fantasy camp a couple months ago, and I made a bet with Cam that he had to go out there and get a double hat trick in one of his games, and sure enough, this man went out there and got a double hat trick in the final game. So
against 80-year-old men, I'm really
against 80-year-old men.
I'm
against
really
80-year-old men.
Sprinkle
He dominated.
Yeah.
He dominated.
And did I walk in the locker room like a peacock? Of course
you
I
did. You definitely did. You definitely did. You definitely.
We put on
a
a show though, man. We put on a show for everybody, dude. Everybody loves it. They all love hanging out with all of us, man, and we just entertain everybody, dude. That's what we do.
Cam, are you still out here? Are you still out here these days playing in the men's league, toe dragging and dusting cats left and right?
I only play with the alumni, dude. I got all my equipment in my own stall in this $1 million locker room. We chill. I'll go out there. We'll hang out. Yeah, dude. 3 times a week, I skate with the boys. We have a cool clique. We all hang out together. We all go to get drinks together. It's a blast, man. So no, I used to do that, but now we have this $100 million facility. I'm like, I'm not leaving my equipment staying there, dude.
Matt, you were all talk before the episode. You were going to bring up how Cam had to take a tractor to high school in Eureka, and you never brought it up.
Oh,
unbelievable, Matt. You were all talk.
I was waiting for him to come at me hot for going to CBC. He did last time. Didn't this time.
I heard the girls are really hot there. My dad bought me a 5.0 Mustang for my first car, a 5.0 hatchback, 92 5.0 hatchback. Then he put fat ass tires on it too. So I was doing pretty good, but then that thing, I kind of blew the engine out of it, man. And then he got me this awesome Formula 88 Formula Firebird, all black. And I took that up to Windsor for my first year. And then I signed and bought a big, like, Suburban. So no fucking tractor, dick.
So the rumors were false. There wasn't a bring your tractor to school day at Eureka. They didn't have a national or a school bring your tractor to school day.
Eureka was awesome, man, because you had kids from the city coming in, you had hillbillies, and you had wealthy people all combined, and you had awesome athletes, and that's why the sports were very competitive, man. They really were. So don't chirp my town, baby, or I'll smack all y'all.
Well, Cam, we're so thankful that you took your time to come on the podcast.
Yeah, man.
We really appreciate you being on. It was really fun talking with you. Guys, obviously go check out his podcast, Cam and Strick, if you haven't yet, on all DSPs, Apple Podcasts, everywhere you can listen to podcasts. Cam, thanks again for being on. We really appreciate having you.
Love you guys, man. You guys are good. Just remember what I said about that. And if you need any more help, just call me, man. You got my. I see you all the damn time. We see, dude, you help me out. You keep me organized when we do all these events. You do a hell of a job, by the way, just so you know. Love you guys. I'll see you later, eh?
Big thanks to Cam Janssen for coming on our podcast today. Super fun conversation. I hope you all enjoyed it. Make sure to go check out Cam on his own podcast, the Cam and Strick podcast, wherever you listen to your podcast, Spotify, Apple, YouTube, etc. Go check us out on Twitter and Facebook at Odd Sports Topics and oddsportstopics.com. Thanks again to Cam. Everyone have a great night.